Is everybody ready?
Yep. Yep.
So, do you all have the notes? Have you got your notes, Ruby? I'll just sent it over in a message if you haven't.
Yeah.
It's always on the link on the website. It gets updated, ready for the upcoming seminar. So, first of all, thanks for you guys that are online now and everybody who's watching it later on. It's awesome that you've got through the 5 levels in the first time that we've recorded it. So that's great. Different way of doing it rather than doing it in a group without recording it, so it's nice. So during the notes, ideally you've got through all of the other stuff, and we'll ask you some questions about that later on, and we put together a series of tools for you to be able to use, and hopefully you've used them all over the last 4 weeks and seeing how you've got on. Nice little sentence I've pulled from one of my mentors. Your physical body is a standard of who you are as a person. Now, the idea of getting to level 5 is that you're starting to now create the body of your version of being superhuman, is what we spoke about a couple of times. It might take a good few years to get there, but in essence, you've put together, now you've got the tools to be able to do that. And rather than needing to rely on a coach or rely on somebody else, ideally you should have enough tools, and it boils down to perhaps a little bit of help and motivation with fine-tuning. Perhaps you want to compete or something like that. Might be the only reason you need a coach at a later date. So we'll talk about that later on, because there's a few things about that. About being coached and things like that. So just these few things where we put together strength, determination, stamina, health, longevity, your physical ability, you're a motivated person, energetic, and everyday tasks are easy. So that's kind of ideally where you end up being when people look at you as a person. Just because you lift and you're strong and you're putting fitness first, is because then you can do everything else in an awesome manner. And that's the idea of talking about your physical body as a standard of who you are as a person. So you've got all the tools. I don't think I need to go through them again, because we go through them every week. But last week we added what did we add last week? The part where I just highlighted in yellow there was looking at the negative sides of not doing what we're doing. You know, you're looking at sickness, potential cancers from not being healthy, bedroom acrobatic reduction. I had to throw that in there because of level 3. Health with your children in the future, energy levels, longevity can be negatively affected, your health. Mind fog was one that came up quite a lot with people under eating all the time when you're dieting. Mood swings, and obviously we're trying to balance that out. Lack of motivation and the overall balance. That's what we're trying to get, whether you're cutting or dieting or whatever. We added on bi-weekly photos, and I just mentioned in there you can tag us if you want, and obviously you can help get motivation from everybody else doing this, which is quite nice. We added on supplements, and also 2 things was examine.com is a place where you can always check up supplements in the future, and NCBI, whatever the link I'll put on there, is basically the place where if something in life you're not too sure about, I don't know, shampoo with caffeine in it or something like that, you can always type in PubMed caffeine shampoo and research about it, and then you're not looking on the internet, you're looking at other stuff that's not been arbitraged by making you buy it, and then you find out the real answer. So not only fitness, but you can go with other parts of your life where people start trying to sell you something which is normally a product. You can then find out what scientific study's been done towards it, which I just think is awesome, and becomes a little bit negative because you kind of end up knowing a little bit more than everybody else while they're buying, for example, the caffeine shampoo. Just something that came up yesterday in a conversation, and I was like, I don't believe you, let me check it. And it turned out that realistically it doesn't do anything. I love Christian's face as I'm talking. He's just like, "Yeah, you're so telling the truth." And the idea of doing everything that we've done for all the other levels is physically being your version of superhuman, which I keep going on about. I'm wearing a Superman top again. It says, what does it say? You know when your hench, if Superman's impressed with your bench. Perfect after today's competition. So let's speak to you all and spend a bit of time going through everything that we've done. Maybe if we talk to Ruby first. How have you got on over the whole 4 weeks? Basically, overall, have you got any questions? Anything you want to bring up?
Not really. I feel like I've got a much more better understanding of what you went over in your book, obviously, and I've started, well, over the last 3 weeks, I started counting my macros rather than just calorie counting, and I've been getting on alright with that.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's been good.
So you've kind of stepped into like level 2 or level 3 thinking now.
Yeah.
Probably comfortable all the way up to level 4. Level 5, as you'll find out in a minute, is an ongoing thing. It's not something that ever ends, which is nice. So you were talking about you lost some weight, and this week you stayed the same.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I went away last week and went over a little bit. So I haven't lost anything else, and I didn't train as much last week. So
okay, so great, but you went over a little bit. I mean, perhaps in the past you might have went over by a lot and then had to diet when you come back off your holiday. Now you've got a better understanding of calories. In fact, what did I see? You posted on the Empowered by Lifting page the other day to say that you'd lost a couple of pounds and then your lifestyle on 1 million. Because we're trying to do the help the world lose £1 million on the page, and you added a couple of pounds there. Lee beat you by quite a lot. He added 90. But yours was about lifestyle and becoming better, really, wasn't it? And I think you wrote something about a cake, where someone had bought you a cake, and then when you calculated what was in the cake, you were like, "Oh my god, this little cake is like 2 days' calories or something." Yeah.
Yeah.
That was. Then you decided to divide it between several days, nailing everything. 80-20 rule hit, all your calories, your fibre, everything was hit, which is great. Massive step for you. So what's your next step now?
Just carrying on what I'm doing, and carrying on trying to lose a bit of fat and gain a bit more muscle. Just carrying on, really.
Great.
Long term. So.
The lifestyle. Awesome. So any questions during this, just stop, and if anything comes up, let us know, and we'll try and answer it.
Yeah, we'll do.
So Milda, how are you getting on? Nice dark room now.
I'm good. Oh, yeah, I turned on the light, but it's kind of straight in the screen, so I thought I might as well switch it to the other one. It's been good. To be honest, Chris, it's just nice to see everyone kind of starting to follow what we've been doing for a while now. And it's good for me because I get to know kind of how to explain people from the beginning. But, I have so much knowledge about it. And I wasn't sure where to begin.
Brilliant. I like that. Okay, that's nice.
So I'm making notes as we go along every week. And I got a friend, I've got a boyfriend that now we're going on holidays, and then when we come back, I wanna get him properly on it.
Okay.
So I've been making notes, but not just for him, because I have friends that are actually interested. Oh, what do you do?
Okay.
And even in the gym, I was asked, was it Saturday? This fella approached me. He's PT, and he actually has a school for them.
Okay.
So he asked me whether I was PT of looking at my shape, and I said no. So he offered me a free course.
Oh, to be a PT?
Say that again.
To be a PT?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's not something I want to do long terms, but because what you do is something that it's close to my heart. So last few weeks been interesting because kind of I could see myself rather teaching people than being PT in the gym.
Okay.
Because to share the knowledge is a big thing, and last few weeks been really interesting. So yeah.
Okay, this is interesting. It's something we're going to talk about in a minute, about living through your passion, which is basically where you're steering towards already, which is nice. So in terms of nutrition, in terms of nutrition and food, you're happy with everything, I'm guessing, so far.
Yeah, because even this morning I've been to Moose, you know, the American pancakes place.
Oh yeah.
And I had one pancake, and it still fits my macros, and kind of I enjoyed it. Like, had a bit of Nutella to go with it, which was 15 grams, and it was perfect. The girl was laughing when I asked for 15 grams only, and she said, "Do you want any more?" I said, "No, just make sure they measure it." So we were like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Brilliant. How do you know the macros of the pancake? Is it on the menu?
It's not on the menu, but if you look on my fitness pal, there also obviously has loads of options. So I take the one with most calories.
If you're on a cutting phase, take the one with most calories. Yeah.
Yeah. So I pick with most calories. But if you think, like, you probably laugh if I show you my stomach now. I've been eating all day, and it's still nice and flat, you know, because it's like I'm going away in 5 days' time.
Yeah.
So it's the same, but like I had friends around even for lunch, which was like, so I had a breakfast out, then had people around for 2-course dinner, because I made it all myself. It's all pre-measured.
Yeah.
So it's strange, but like I still do a normal thing, and I live a normal lifestyle, and it fits between my macros. I'm nicely ripped, so I couldn't be happier.
Nicely ripped. I like it.
Excuse my modesty.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'll move on to Lee. We spoke briefly today, and Lee came to the powerlifting competition with me today, and it was great. Nice supporter there. How are you getting on? If you want to bring anything up nutrition wise at the moment?
Well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, yesterday you actually you upped my macros, if you remember, to 400 carbs. Which, to be fair, probably 6-8 weeks ago, I wouldn't have even thought I'd have got to that, and still being able to maintain that and still stay quite level, not really put anything on in regards to weight or lost anything. So I think we're at that stage now that we talked about where I'm maintaining it.
Yeah.
I probably have been for about 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
But I'm still eating what I enjoy eating, and obviously raising my calories and everything each week. You said today I'm actually probably on more than what you're on now.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't ever expecting.
Yeah.
But for me, it's working perfect. I'm not afraid to eat anything now, and I'm seeing great results in the gym. And obviously, you know, the next phase is what we talked about, lean bulking, and it was something that I never actually thought went together, but I understand more now what that means and how that's going to affect me long term. But in regards to nutrition, I probably was at first, if you remember when we used to talk, probably more clean, if you like, in regards to eating a lot of veg, a lot of rice, a lot of chicken. Now I don't so much, but I still get enough of it. But I'm able to eat the other stuff that I enjoy and still see the results. So for me, the only thing that I suppose I'm a little bit nervous of is when you mentioned about eyeballing food.
Okay.
Never really done it, so I don't know whether I'd be good at that, if you know what I mean. So I've not come across that yet. I've always been able to manage the numbers so far.
So, you were talking about a holiday. Are you going away next week? Or a week?
Yeah, I got to New York in 5 weeks, and that's a big thing for me because I'm thinking, how do I manage that while I'm there, especially with the lifestyle I have? Yeah.
So, basically, what we're talking about there is, now that you've got all of the tools, is it that much of an issue if you go away and eyeball and put on a few pound? It's not that bad now, because now you've got the tools to be able to lose the weight anyway. So it's like, it's kind of looking at the long-term goal rather than, you know, worrying about the day-to-day things. So what you're doing now is you're going, oh, I went away, gained 4 pounds. That's fine. Other people would go away and you might gain a couple of stone, but they might have been in a metabolic kind of damaged type of area where they're always diet, and they would gain more body fat, whereas you might just gain a little bit. So, yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. I can see Christian looking down at his notes, so I think he's got a big list to go through. We've got a bit of a delay, haven't we, today? It's a bit strange.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know whether to cancel a call and send you a new link. What do you reckon?
Yeah, let's do that.
Say that again.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'll just send a new message into the Facebook straight away. Let's do that.
Okay.
Well, this is the first time this has happened. No, it's absolutely awesome. So you guys watching level 5 get to see exactly what happens to create a new group. There we go. Not even going to stop the recording either. So hopefully they'll just be able to click on that and come back in. There we go. Gosh, better straight away. Just waiting for Christian to come out.
Yeah.
Go on, click the button. I didn't even stop the recording either. There he is.
Actually, awesome.
I didn't even stop. I didn't stop the recording, so it's just like seeing me pause it. There we go. We're back now. Now it works properly. Yeah, that was a really good move, by the way. Okay, so Christian, anything you can bring up or ask or rack my brains with?
Yeah, I wrote a few things down. I don't know how you guys drink that much water. I have been trying, and I can typically get maybe 2 to 2.5 liters in.
Okay.
But it's difficult.
So we gave her like a rough guide of how much water to drink. How much did yours work out? About 3 liters or
Chris,
something like that.
I don't hear you.
Does anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
I wonder why Milda can't hear me.
No, not me.
Can you hear me now? Wow. Turn your volume up. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
What?
Oh, I think she's lost her service. Okay, so water. You had an issue with water.
I just can't get enough in, man. It's a lot of water drowning.
So are you putting in like I basically carry a 2 litre bottle around with me most of the day, and I just keep topping up that. I put lemons in it as well, just to make it flavoured a bit nicer. And just keep drinking all day. But yeah, I don't think it's that much of an issue if you're getting 2.5 litres. It's not as if you're drinking 1 litre, you know.
Yeah. In terms of macros, I've been pretty consistent. The one thing that keeps coming up for me is that I'm not good at anticipating fats. I mean, I'll typically look at a food and say that's a basic single ingredient, and I know more or less roughly where it's going to be with the carbs and the proteins, and say that's something that I can eat, and then I can adjust as I go through the day because it's such a basic food. But the fats keep sneaking in on me, and I'm having trouble with those. And then overall, I'm finding that it's difficult for me to create variety just because of my work schedule, and then with how tight that is for me getting in and out of the gym and getting other things done, that I really resonate to the meal plan approach in terms of being prepared and having the ease of not having to think about it, but lacking the variety that you've talked about in terms of micronutrients.
Okay, right.
So that's another difficulty for me.
It's quite important, obviously, to try and vary your foods. What we've been talking about quite a lot, but I think if you're working quite a lot of hours, then yeah, I mean it's harder to be diverse. But perhaps it's the history you've had recently of eating similar foods, which is kind of sponging over or coming over to the new way of eating, so it might just take a little bit of time to adjust a little bit. And listen to your cravings, man. Like, what do you want to eat? Like, think about it. I mean, during the day, what do
I want pizza.
So, talking about pizza, I've got a couple of videos on Empower by Lifting Facebook page videos showing you how to make your own pizza and things like that. And ongoing, we'll put loads and loads of videos about making different foods. So, just follow your cravings is what I can imagine, really. Try and fit the pizza in. And what is it that you're craving about the pizza? Is it the bread? Can you fit the bread in instead? Can you fit the toasted cheese in as well instead of making a pizza? Which bit is it that you crave? Is it the flavour? You know what I mean?
It's just a well-rounded piece of terrible food for you. You know, it's got everything. It's got all the bad greases and all the the fats and just everything. The dairy, the carbs, the balance of those two is great. It's just a great food.
So it fits, no? Sometimes, but not the size of the pizza that you'd normally eat.
No, definitely not in the portions.
Yeah.
But we Americans have problems with portions.
Yeah, I think like a piece or two you might be able to fit in, but like a whole pizza which you might have eaten in the past might not fit. But if you were to have 2 pieces of pizza every single day for a month, at the end of the month you're not going to want to eat pizza anymore. You're going to be like, oh, I'm fed up of pizza now.
That is true.
Go
ahead.
Okay. Yeah. So if we move on to the other stuff, and again, if any questions come up, just spit it out and see what you think. So this is where we're going to kind of move on to personal development, and right at the bottom of this level 5 bit, I'll give you a list of books that I've read. I'll give you a list of my mentors. So some of these people are friends of mine. For example, Leo from Actualize.org. He's an awesome dude. Some of these guys are my mentors who I've paid to be my coach for life development and stuff like that, and business as well. But some of them are just people who I've learned from. It's about personal development being an ongoing thing and kind of never ending, which is nice. So the thought of being egotistically motivated in life is where we all are, through lifestyle and what society puts across on us or makes us do. And it's kind of when you start realising what an ego is and what being an egotistic is, you then can start breaking your ego down, and it's been coined death of the ego. If you can remove your ego, it makes you a much better person. And combining that with fitness as well, because some people are training and lifting and dieting through ego, it makes all the fitness and the diet harder because you're trying to be better than everybody else, you're trying to lift harder than everybody else, and it doesn't quite entwine for a perfect long-term lifestyle, which is where we wanted to come across too. So spend a bit of time on this, and I'll give you the videos and the places to go afterwards, and try and maybe put an hour a week in, an hour a day, whatever you feel you need, and begin to try and grow as a person. And I've wrote somewhere in the notes, but I'll say it now, that I'm still growing as a person, and I'm still not growing my muscles, obviously, but I mean growing as a person in terms of increasing my personal awesomeness to the world, so to speak, which is trying to be as least egotistic as possible. So take your time and work through. The first video here is Leo. He's talking about what the ego is. So I'm just going to try and shoot through these things because there's so much and it's so in depth, it's impossible for me to give you in an hour. But it's kind of where you ideally want to be going, and I'm just living through it as well. So it's kind of a nice thing. maybe 2 or 3 years old for me, where I've been working on personal development. So, what is your ego? It's kind of a thing which is put upon you by society to protect yourself. We're normally living through your ego, so you're protecting what people think of you. So all of these, you get this feeling of everybody looking at you, and you're like, you're this person. I am me, and what people think of me is this. So if you care about what people think about you, then you're kind of a little bit like, oh, I need to be like this, I need to do like that, I need to be like this, and you become defensive all the time, and it's kind of the wrong way to live. As you listen, Leo is a lot better explaining it than I am. He's a personal development coach, but basically it's kind of having a little watch of that video and understanding what it is to help you get rid of your ego. So a couple of the things I wrote in the notes there was it's built by your experiences through your life. So where we spoke about the onion of knowledge, we're trying to strip back the layers of the onion to help you relearn the fitness, so to speak. It's like we try to breaking down your ego is like trying to break down the layers of your ego to become less egotistic and less things that the world's put upon you to think. Obviously, society makes you think in a certain way, and it's been said that it can hold you back a lot. And defensive speaking, which I already spoke about. And for example, the bench press ego is what I wrote in the notes here. So most people will be lifting in the gym to be better than everybody else. So you're kind of looking around and going, oh, he's lifting this much. For the guys, it's usually the bench press. And you're like, oh, I want to be better. And if you go over to the bench and someone else is benching 10 kilogram more than what you've got in your notes, you'll probably try to lift that 10 kilogram just because you feel like if you drop it down, it's you being egotistically challenged, which is not kind of the nice way to live. Same for girls might be, I want to buy something like, I don't know, like probably the gym as well with the girls. It might be like, I want to buy something. The guy might want to buy the better car to be better than another person, or the better clothing, or the better item. And that's kind of where it's really hard to explain the ego. But it's like if you're always trying to people please, it's the opposite side of where you want to be. The idea is that you don't want to people please, which can end up turning you into a bit of an idiot, or a bit of a nasty person at first, because you're kind of like, don't care about anybody else. But then because you're living through this, you don't care what other people think, you can then really care about what people think in a different type of way. It's as you're starting to develop you loss of your ego. So that's trying to impress all the time. So trying to impress all the time and always talking with the I. You'll hear a lot of people, I do this, I do that, I want to be this good, I want to buy that, I want to improve myself, I want to be this, and da-da-da. And people often forget to talk about the other person and ask, what do you do? How do you feel? How are you? Or how is your life? Or how was the gym today? I'm not sure if this is more of a masculine thing than a feminine thing, because girls are often very good at being asking how the other person is. But guys, for sure, kind of wait for the guy to tell the other guy how they're getting on rather than ask. And that kind of changes the ego side of things. So if you looking at the world, if you were to be standing on stage in front of 1,000 people just about to speak about something, you become really worried and scared of what people think of you. If you were standing on stage and all of a sudden you realise that you're just another person, the same as everybody else in the crowd, it doesn't matter that you're standing on stage just about to talk to them, so you've got a microphone in your mouth, and you're going to speak. Maybe you might forget your words, but does anybody really care? What do they actually care? You're going to care more than they care because you're trying to protect your ego. So why care at all? Could you stand on stage and talk to 1,000 people? If you were to fully remove your ego, probably yes. So what you've got to ask yourself is, on a daily basis, how often do you judge other people? And that's kind of where your ego's coming in. So if you're walking down a road and you have a look at somebody and you're like, oh, look at her shoes, or look at his trainers, or what is he wearing, or why is he walking funny, or why did he say that? And how often do you judge the good and the bad of the world? And a lot of people are doing that when you're in the gym. You're looking at how people are lifting. You're looking at, he's lifting wrong, she's lifting wrong. Now that you've learned this kind of new way of eating or new way of living, you could end up being very, why are they doing it like that, and becoming very like negative towards people that aren't doing it like we're doing it. And then they're also very egotistically challenging you, because they're going, oh, why are you eating cake, or why are you eating that? And they start shouting. So this is something that like Milda brought up before, talking about trying to teach other people and going through the different levels and the different stages. Unless you understand all of the concept, it's hard for them to understand it, because if you just say, I'm going to eat Nutella and I'm on a diet, they're like, you can't do that. But they're being egotistic because you're defending they're defending their own ego. So now you're learning what an ego is briefly. If you watch the video from Leo, you'll understand it better. But you're kind of learning that because if you're trying to remove your ego, you can see other people's ego, and all they're trying to do is defend their ego all the time. And that's kind of where the world circulates, and the way this survival thing that we're doing has become survival in society, but by survival with personalities as well, rather than just surviving for to survive like we did years ago. So talking about the ego, where this is about moving on to motivation in a minute, where we talk about wanting things. So the new car, or the new pair of shoes, or the new for example, today I've gone to a powerlifting competition and beat my own personal best by 20 kilogram, and I'm like, yes, I've just deadlifted 220 kilogram. Thanks, Christian. I've just deadlifted 220 kilogram. Temporarily, I will understand that I'm buzzing off that individual thing that's given me motivation for that short time, and then I fully understand that once you've done it, it's just gone. Rather than having really happy and then the down that you get with after being happy. So you always feel happy and then feel sad, and then feel happy and then feel sad. The idea is to find this balance where you begin to understand the wants and the needs, and you're looking for something to feel good about all the time. So for some people, it's food. So you're looking for a quick fix of food which will make you feel good for a short amount of time, which is usually your cake or your pizza or your chocolate cake or ice cream. It might be just, as soon as that pizza hit your lips, tastes nice. 15 minutes later, how long did that stimulation last for? And all it is your body and your mind looking for stimulations all the time. So if you can kind of remove that altogether and you're not looking for stimulations, it kind of balances you out. So when you get the stimulation, you can appreciate it on a massive level compared to what you could if you were searching for the stimulation all the time. It's a really hard, personal development is really hard to go through in a short time, because it's a long time to learn it, basically. So going really in depth with what we'll talk about a bit later on, and what Leo talks about in this video and some of his other videos, is the idea that there is now and this moment, no past, no future, just now. So we're sitting here on a seminar, or the people at home are sitting here watching this seminar, and it's just now. If you take everything behind you and delete it, so all the good things, all the bad things, all the things you were upset with, all the things that you had, whatever happened today, your meal, what you just ate, are you thirsty, are you hungry, get rid of all that. So then think of the stuff that you're going to do after the seminar. You're going to go eat some food, maybe you're going to go to bed, and you're going to go to work tomorrow. Remove all that, all of a sudden you're living for now, and really enjoy that moment on an ongoing basis. So then when anything bad happens in your life, realistically, you're just living now. So is anything outside of this bubble really happening? Of course it is. But the idea of enlightenment, which we'll talk about later on, is the idea that nothing really happens other than the now. So that means that you don't have to worry about stuff that happened in the past, and you don't really have to worry about the future, and you can completely balance yourself. So this is the idea of becoming non-egotistic and balancing where you are. So what happens now is you're living in the present moment. You don't care about what the past is. You don't care about what the future is. And you create this ultimate person who's you. Some people could then think, well, what's the point in caring? I might as well just, you know, we're going to die. We're all going to, so what's the point in caring about anything? Or you can go to the opposite side and go, well, if I don't really care about what happened in the past, I don't really care about what happened in the future, and live for the moment, you can take life and turn it into like a playground and just become the ultimate version of you and just enjoy everything. Don't need to look for the pizza, don't need to look for the Nutella, you don't need to look to buy the new car or look for something that's going to egotistically stimulate you all of a sudden, which is quite a bit of a screw up in your mind as we're talking about it now. It's all like, whoa. And when you start realising that you're always looking, most people are always looking for something to stimulate themselves, if you can remove all that, it sounds like it would be boring until you step the other side of it and you've actually done all that, and all of a sudden life becomes so balanced. And he talks about true happiness being this feeling of complete calmness rather than the stimulations of up and down of what happiness can give you by getting a new item, which is quite interesting. Which is where Milda was talking earlier about the lifestyle on other people, and what she's talking about doing awesome things with cooking a meal, and she's not really telling other people what she's doing, she's just going to do it anyway. And we spoke about the photo trick in a restaurant, so rather than forcing it upon people what we're doing, if they're interested, they come to you and you can tell them, but it's hard to push it on people, which is why the kind of ongoing, like, oh, you live in the empowered by lifting lifestyle, and people have to go, what's that? And then they find out what it is and begin to come to you to find out what it is rather than you pushing it on them. And this is about who do you become after this, because you've got all this new knowledge now, and as people start talking about something like outside of fitness, like the caffeine shampoo we talked about earlier on, and you're going to go, that sounds like crap, and you start being a little bit, you could end up being aggressive about the fact that you've got this new way of learning and this new knowledge of the world, and it's hard to understand. It's hard to ground yourself, so to speak. I've been told a couple of times in the past to get off my high horse because you look like you know too much, and I'm like, you probably do now, and I need to make sure that I understand. I was living through my ego and I was being egotistic about it, and I was like, I know this, I know that, I know this, when realistically I should have just been in a different way about it and been like, I've learned this, would you like me to tell you? Or doing it in a different way, which is really hard once you start learning different things. So yeah, it's about them knowing that they haven't quite learned some of that stuff yet, what you've learned during these seminars. So this is nice, talking about understanding the authentic self and discovering who you really are. I'll put that video there. I'm not sure which person it is, but I don't want to click it now. But it's basically society kind of dictates that you work the 9 to 5, you get your paycheck, you go to the gym, you eat your clean foods, and you come home and you go to bed and you do the same thing tomorrow and you wait for your pay packet again, which is what society kind of dictates. If you're doing that through a job you love, absolutely perfect. If you ideally want to do something different, like Milda's thinking about leaving a job and becoming a personal trainer because she said it's that's something that's close to her heart, that's really living through your passion then. Whether that passion be a hobby that you're living through, it could be lifting, it could be something outside the gym. The idea is to live through your passion, basically. And then when you're living through your, you have to watch the video to find out what I'm talking about in terms of the authentic self. I'm really living through who I am as a person because of what I do for a job. I do live seminars, I do in-person seminars, I mean, and I do online seminars. I do coaching to multiple people all around the world. I also do business development, and none of it is hard because I'm simply living through my authentic self, and people feel that when they're talking to me. It's just what I do as a person, rather than me trying to do it as a person. It's like rather than living through who you are, which is quite a strange thing, and it's kind of not being scared about who you are as well and defining who you are. I'm not sure if I've missed out someone here. I'm going to write it in the notes. Dr. Delamere, Demartri or something. I'm just going to write that for now. I'm going to write in the notes down. I'll maybe send it to you. There's a Dr. Delamere or something. He helps you define what your passions are, and then do something with them passions rather than just leaving. Them and living through your passions. We spoke about that. Nothingness. Next thing was motivation, wasn't it? So there's various people who give different motivational talks and motivational speaking and motivational stuff like that. And some of the stuff I've taken from them to help put into kind of fitness lifestyle is the concept of intrinsic versus extrinsic motivations. And nearly everybody in fitness lives through extrinsic motivations. So they're looking for the external figure or person or the image to be somebody rather than looking at themselves. So they're looking outwards at the world. Then you've got things like caffeine to then you drink loads of caffeine to then help you motivated when you go to the gym. You're putting the music on and you're listening to motivational music to help you be motivated in the gym. These type of outside things that are stimulating you, going back to the ego again and trying to be stimulated to be able to do what you're doing. If you're internally motivated or intrinsically, it's about you do what you do because it's what you want to do rather than what is society kind of makes you want to do. And it's finding out what that is. And if lifting and fitness is part of that to help you be better at everything else in your life. So it's kind of the idea that if you can enhance your life through lifting and eating properly and using everything we've done in the first 4 levels to then intrinsically motivate yourself in a much better way to become a better person. So you're then not looking for the external motivations. So then when you are tired, you're kind of going to do it anyway, whatever that do is. So your work or your life or whenever you need to search for motivation. And obviously the progressive overload we talked about in level 3 or 4 when we talked about adding reps, basically when you're in a gym session, was looking at all I've just done for a powerlifting competition is simply added reps over a number of years to be able to get better at powerlifting to become the ultimate, like my ultimate 1 rep max. So it's kind of adding all of them on and becoming better. So that's being self-competitive. So I haven't looked at people in the competition today and thought, oh, I've beat him, or I've lost against him, or I've lost, or whatever position I came. I'm just looking at, I lifted that. Next time I do a powerlifting competition, I want to lift a little bit more. And that's it. So that's being self-competitive. Then you're looking at, can you improve yourself in terms of your own fitness? Can you have a better, I don't know, let's say you're looking at image of your own body. Can my 6-pack be better next year than it was this year? My 6-pack. So that's intrinsically motivating you to be better at your own body. Can my arms be a little bit better than they were last year? Not, are they big enough compared to everybody else? It sounds really, really simple, but it's like, unless you put it out there and say it out loud, it's like, actually, yeah, I don't care about what everybody else is doing. Really, in terms of motivating myself, I just care about me. But then that sounds like I'm being internal and very egotistic, but it's quite the opposite. Because then I'm not looking to be motivated by other people, and it's a little different way about looking at it. And then some people it's been said that some people can be motivated by fear. So you have to go to your job because you aren't going to get enough money. You have to go to the gym because you're not going to be big enough compared to everybody else who's going to be on the beach on holiday and you're scared of it. This type of thinking. And the idea is to not be motivated or demotivated by that. And obviously we spoke about society driving most of the thoughts. And then this is where we brought up the PT or the personal trainer or the coach or the mentor. I have my own mentors, which are more about personal development and learning and business for different types of things. And I've had my own coaches in the past, and I, as a coach and as a mentor for different things, I really believe in it in terms of accountability. So you've got someone else to double check what you're doing, and then ideally a good personal trainer in a gym or a good coach should give you the knowledge to be able to move forward and away from them, rather than trying to block you in, which is what most of the fitness industry is about. So it's kind of it's like, obviously I'm trying to sell myself as a coach, but at the same time I'm trying to push you into the world without needing a coach. It's kind of a bit of counterintuitive what I'm doing as a coach, but I truly believe that you should learn enough to be able to maybe ask a few questions in the future, but you should have enough knowledge in terms of fitness anyway. Personal development, I think, goes on and on and on. So we spoke about masking your problems with music and motivational videos. Catherine Wood spoke about that. Temporary egotistic things, yeah. So, temporary uses of willpower. So the idea of all of what I've just spoke about is not to be living through willpower. So when you go to the gym, it's like, oh, I've got to go to the gym, I'm tired. Oh, I've got to go to work, I'm tired. Ideally, if you're doing something where you're living through willpower, potentially you're not doing the right thing. So it's kind of questioning yourself a little bit. Am I hating my job? Am I hating what I'm doing? Maybe I'm not doing the right thing. So that's kind of a little bit of an internal thought there, guys, whether it's, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing in life? Which is, it's been said by some of the mentors that I follow. It's, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? And if you are, life becomes awesome. But then it's temporary uses of the willpower is what I wanted to briefly talk about in terms of fitness. So we've got the metabolic recovery phase, and ideally through the metabolic recovery phase, we've talked about recovering the metabolism, we've talked about allowing more food to be eaten, we've talked about all of the factors in terms of how it makes you feel good and building more muscle and everything like that. During that time and during a bulk, because you've got more fuel in your body, unless you're a very competitive bodybuilder like myself or whatever like that, realistically you shouldn't be living through willpower and going to the gym like trying to crush it every single day. You should just be going with the flow and doing it. So whatever sport that is you're doing, it's kind of trying to not live through willpower, not live through caffeine, not live through pre-workouts, not live through the stimulation of motivational videos. And then when you come to diet and you come to the end of the fat loss phase, if you want to push it to a powerlifting a bodybuilding competition or a bikini competition, or to be completely shredded or ripped or have your abs out for summer, at the end it's going to be a little bit difficult compared to on the way down. It's going to be more difficult in general. Some people find it easy. So anyway, what I'm trying to say there is the last 6 weeks, for example, of a bodybuilding prep is when I really pull out the motivational tunes. I'll bring the caffeine in a lot more. I'll be looking for external motivation. I'll listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger several times a day talking about his 6 rules of success, and all of that stuff comes in, and I'm really looking for external motivations. I'll watch YouTube videos. I'll be absolutely forcing myself to crush it during the last bit of the fat loss phase. So it's understanding that you're living through willpower is what I'm trying to say. So if you're temporarily living through it and you understand it, that's great. Some people are always living through willpower and you end up falling off the bandwagon, what we spoke about, because the willpower ends. So this is where we talk about clean eating your foods that you like. It's about the willpower really, and being able to eat that pizza, and rather than being restricted from it, it's kind of being able to eat it continuously means you're not living through willpower eventually. So if you're always staying away from the pizza, that always staying away is your willpower kicking in. So it's kind of balancing that and just going, okay, so I don't need to live through willpower. All of a sudden, life becomes so much different because you're not living through it. If you have, it's trying to find that balance and that rest as well. So you've gone and absolutely crushed it for 5 or 6 weeks in work, in your gym life, in whatever you're doing. Understanding your mind and your body needs time off. So I'm going back to university in 3 weeks and understand that I've been absolutely crushing it all summer, working like sometimes 16 hours a day on various businesses, and I need to understand that I need to take a break because I'm not going to get through university, and this is preparing my willpower to be able to get through 8 months of university. So I'm going to literally wind down some of the stuff I'm doing with the new websites and the other businesses that I run, and basically just kind of step back and go, let's chill out for a couple of weeks. And I need to do that before I go to university. So it's about understanding yourself and becoming very internal and understanding how you're feeling. And definitely these guys will help you do that as well. I've said that there, looking at yourself. So, talking about my passion, a little bit of a storytell here. I understood that fitness has always been part of my life. I loved fitness. Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of the biggest bodybuilders, I loved them all, and I loved every single sport, and I just love fitness. So I understood very early on, when I was about 18, that a personal trainer was just temporary, and it was just kind of giving you a little bit of motivation while you were in the gym. And I was thinking, I don't want to do that. And I couldn't really understand why, because I was looking at the personal trainers and thinking, okay, it's great, but that's a temporary motivation for that person. And why would you need someone to count your reps in the gym? I just don't get it. And I couldn't get my head around why I wouldn't want to be a PT. So anyway, I've become qualified and done all the personal training, did it for a little while. Then my fears or my thoughts about what that was came about, and I didn't like it. I really didn't like the thoughts of being able to count someone's reps in the gym. It just didn't fulfill me as a person. So I stopped. So it's not it's not a long-lasting change in a person's life. And then it was when I came. There he is, Dr. Dimitri Delamartine. This Italian doctor of psychology. His video is linked there. Basically, he talks about looking deep inside, what's around your life, what have you always kept in your life, what's always there, and he helps you write it down. You start writing it down in different thoughts, like, what do you always have money for? Always, always, always have money for. So me, it was things like cars, food, cars, food, gym, and I'm like, cars, food, gym, that came up throughout the thing, and then it was, what do you have a passion for? And it was trying to bring out your passion. And he basically helped me personally find what my passions were, which is then broken down. There's another person I've not put there, which is Roger Hamilton. I want to write his in at the bottom. I might have put it at the bottom already. Let's see. Mentors. Yeah, Roger Hamilton. I'll put his thing at the bottom there. Roger Hamilton is another person that helps you find out your personality type in, and it will help you in other parts of your life as well as where we try to personality type your fitness into. Are you a very detailed person, or you're very creative? So what's what I'm up to? There, yeah. So basically, the reason a lot of people aren't living through the passion is because it takes a lot of time. For me, it was literally 10 years to find my passion. I knew I was a very passionate person, but I didn't know what my passion was. And it wasn't until this various personal development things I've done over the past 3 or 4 years to actually find out what my passions are and then live through them. So I wrote at the bottom there, find your why, which we talk about a lot, which is realistically your why is your passion. Then live through that purpose towards that passion, and then progress towards that passion, whatever it is. It might be playing the guitar, it might be something else, but basically that is the ultimate key to motivation, is that every day you wake up, you're progressing towards your passion, whether that be outside of your work, whether that be in fitness, whether in your training. It's just always progressing towards that passion, and finding what it is first can take time, and some people have already found it, so that's great. If it is that, what I say is a poker expression: if you're 100% sure about something, I'm a kind of person that's all chips in. That's it, all in. If I like it, I'm all in. Okay, and I've spent a long time trying to find out what the things is that I do, and if I like the idea, I'm in, all chips in. And that's the idea of finding your passion and just roll with it. Then we talk a little bit about business, where I do other stuff in terms of finding your, if you found your passion, then define a business to go with that passion. And that's kind of what I do for people on a separate basis, is use my creativity to be able to make a business out of someone's passion. But that's another story, really. So I've wrote here, people talk about my work ethic, my energy, why I'm always happy, and people ask me all the time, like, why have you always got energy? You never missed a gym. You always, like, you'll go out or you'll party and you're never tired, and you just seem like you always got the right amount of sleep. And I'm like, I can't give you one answer. It's not just the food. It's not just because I lift or train. It's not just because I'm living through my passion. It's a combination of all these things configured together to create what we keep speaking about, is the ultimate version of you, or your version of being superhuman. So I'm living through my passion, and I'm progressing towards my passion every day. Even if it's just a little tiny thing that I do, I'm happy, and I'm living with the ultimate happiness, because I'm not living through willpower, and I'm living through my passion. So that's me personally. So it's about going away and trying to find out what that passion is, and maybe trying to live towards that will stop that issue of needing to lift in the gym because of being egotistic, so to speak. And then one of the things that keeps coming up is the limited beliefs from society, where people say you can't do that, and then my answer is, why not? Just do it. Napoleon Hill, I spoke a little bit earlier on, he says, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. True believer in that. Whatever you can decide that you can do, you can just do it. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe. Anyway, there's some videos there about passion and progress and purpose I've added. So one of the videos was by Tony Robbins, awesome guy. He's got a seminar in London soon, which I'm going down there to meet him. Should be an awesome day. And he's talking about items, which we spoke about earlier on. The thing doesn't make you happy, but the progress does. So it's progress, and then progress towards your passion. Progress towards your extra lifts in the gym, progress towards eating better, progress towards not living through willpower, progress towards everything we spoke about, just a little bit better at everything, progress towards your making your sport better, progress towards anything. It's all about progress, and that's kind of what he's talking about. The key to life is progress, which sounds pretty simple, but yeah, I think it's awesome. And then because you've got all this stuff that we spoke about in terms of purpose and passion and progress, it's the bigger why, and you're now going towards a direction. So whether that's be to compete in a bodybuilding competition, or bikini or figure competition, or a powerlifting competition, or pole dancing is your sport, so whatever you're progressing towards there, or any different sports you're trying to, things in life, you're just trying to have the bigger why. The 3-year goal, the 5-year goal, the 10-year goal, or the 5-year plan, working towards something. And then that comes back to progress. And again, something there. Why have I wrote that? People ask me how I've consumed 100 books. How I consume 100 books per year. And it's about my 5-year plan, what I'm currently on at the moment. That's what it was. It was about the bigger picture and the why. So my 5-year plan 3 years ago was to become the best version of me in terms of intelligence, in terms of knowledge, in terms of personal development, fitness, and everything around that. So during that time, I'm trying to find the subconscious time. So when your subconscious mind is doing something, is when you can really learn. So let's say all of these videos I'll give you here, there's quite a lot of them, and you can really go in depth on all of these videos because you've got hundreds of them. It's finding out when your subconscious mind is working. So when you're cooking your food, how much effort do you need to put mentally into cooking your food? Probably not a lot. So can you listen to an audio recording while you're cooking your food? Probably, yeah. That could be half an hour a day. While you're walking to work, while you're on your bike, while you're in your car, while you're training. I actually listen to audiobooks while I'm lifting, because I'm not living through my willpower, and I'm not living through, I don't need motivation to help me train. I just lift. So I've got my training plan, and I'm going to lift 10 reps, and I go, okay, 10 reps. But at the same time, I've got Tony Robbins, or I've got Leo, or I've got an audio book about business talking in my ears. So people think I'm listening to music when I'm actually listening to audiobooks, which sounds a bit weird, but I'm not living through I don't need motivational videos on music to help me get through my training session. I enjoy music on a different time, which took me a long time to be able to do, because if you're trying to listen to the audio CD but at the same time as train, it's just, I think that's years of progress to be able to do that. But certainly while you're sitting on the toilet, for example, you can read a book. This type of thinking. Before you go to bed, you can quickly read something. You can listen to an audio book. Just trying to find some things in your life to help you progress is progress. So yeah, videos from the most intelligent people. Anybody got any questions, by the way? Are you enjoying this type of personal development talk? It's a bit different than the rest of it, hey?
Yes.
But it's kind of put a cap onto the rest of it, and the bigger why. So I've put here about your vision, and I put the 5-year, 3-year, 2-year plan, 1-year plan, 6-month plan, 15-week fat loss phase to a holiday. It's about your small visions and your big visions and your bigger visions, and it's about kind of maybe sharing that with people, and that's kind of what we've done with the group, and why I put the video in the group the other week, to be able to stop people arguing within the group and be able to help each other. So it's about, on the Facebook, I mean, sharing what you're doing and allowing people to get involved in yours for 2 reasons. You're going to motivate them. Then you're going to motivate yourself because you're motivating them. And then they're going to motivate you because they're helping you get motivated. And then you can ask questions and you can further go on from there. And the group's nice for doing that. And then it's about finding someone else who's maybe going through the same journey as you. And when there's many studies that suggest that when you teach, you learn better. So if you can teach somebody how to do level 1, you're going to absolutely nail level 1 because you've taught somebody how to do it. And then you can perhaps push them into the seminar recording area, so they can buy it if they want to buy it, or whatever you want to do. But that's kind of a new way. Create your revolutionary life. So I'm a very creative person, and it's hard for me to do the doing. So it's looking at what your negative, it's not your negative, your weaknesses are. And Roger Hamilton is one of the links I put at the bottom. He helps you find out what your type of personality is, and he talks about a creator called a dynamo. He talks about a blaze being a people person. He talks about a tempo being a sensory person, where he's like really slow and calm and doesn't need to be rushed at anything. He talks about a steel personality type being somebody who's he's good at, what's he good at? Details and being very analytical. So you'll find them in the industry where they're doing a lot of computer type of work, and then it's kind of splitting that up and building upon where we've just broken down a fitness lifestyle where we've gone. You're creative and you like to do different things all the time, or you're very detailed and you like to keep it very structured. But he breaks it down into personality types even further. It's for business, but it's great to be able to put it into your life, to be able to see what the other person is in their life. Like, for example, if you've got a people person who's a blaze and they're really talkative, basically you've got to appreciate them for who they are because they're a talkative person. But if you're the opposite side, which is to steel, you're not a very talkative person, and then if you can then tell them that they're a blaze by helping them go through the system, you can then collaborate better because you can appreciate people for who they are, and that's what he talks about. And everybody's got a different personality type. So I'm very, very creative. So I dream of what I want to create, and I'm literally going to create it. And now I'm not living through my ego. It's not that I want to have millions of pounds. I want to have millions of pounds so then I can become a philanthropist to be able to end world obesity is one of my main things. I also want to be able to, so going back to that end world obesity, I need to reword that. End the world obesity crisis, because if we reduce the obesity crisis by 50%, then it doesn't become a crisis anymore. People will always be obese, but I want to be able to give world knowledge to be able to use this stuff. Even just level 1 would remove probably 50% of obesity in the world if they can live through their why and change stuff. So that's one of my big things, is to be able to do that. And then the other thing is reducing steroid use in the world, and then going to school kids and being able to educate school kids around the whole of the world about what steroids are before they even leave school, because that doesn't exist. So they're two of my big things. And I want to be able to, now that I'm not living egotistically, I will work towards being a millionaire simply so I can hit them big goals. And it's like, I'm not going to stop until I do. And now I'm not being egotistic about being a millionaire, and I'm not going to go and buy loads of champagne and nice cars. I probably will do that as well. But it's about living without the ego, so that doesn't then become like part of you, because I've lived without having the money. It's hard to explain that bit. So trying to put all of this together to unleash the full you. These are just some notes I came up with. Always working on yourself. This invest in yourself is about looking inwards and personal development all the time to become a better person, which in turn will help you become better at fitness and be able to adhere to the diet better, because you're coming internal and looking at which bitch are you having problems with. Okay, so Christian said he's having a problem because he wants to eat pizza. So if he ate 2 slices of pizza every day for a month, this is thinking about like me as a personal thing, would it fix it? Let's try it. That's just one tiny thing that you're working on yourself. Am I having a problem of not eating enough during the day, so I end up being starving and eating too much at night time? Could that be a problem? Just looking internally in terms of fitness and always investing in yourself and trying to progress. Are you emotionally eating? So are you trying to eat to create emotion? Which is going back to early on when we talked about the ego and being stimulated. So are you being stimulated by food mentally and temporarily, or are you eating because it's fuel and tastes nice? Are you being stimulated and now you appreciate that you're being stimulated by the food, so when you eat that piece of pizza or that Nutella or that chocolate, you enjoy being stimulated for that and know it's a temporary stimulation? It's kind of like a bit of a mind blow that you understand that you're being stimulated, so you're allowed to be stimulated. I'm not saying don't be. But enjoy that stimulation more because you're being stimulated. Because you appreciate that you're being stimulated rather than being always looking for the stimulation. So some of these guys I've sent you across explain that a lot better. And then going over the whole thing and understanding that life is over so quickly. I'm 31, I'm 32 soon. Some of these people who are watching at home are older than me. Lee's definitely older than me. As you get older, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, they just go away. And I'm like, it's Christmas again. It's Christmas again. Or for an Americans listening, is it fall, you call it? It's Thanksgiving. That's crazy, like how quick it goes. So if you're removing your ego and you don't care about what is behind you and what is in front of you, and you're living for right at the moment, and all of a sudden you're not looking for stimulations, and you have death of the ego, and you're living for now, why don't you just become the ultimate version of you anyway? Because you're going to die soon, and you're going to die at some point in the future. So I've done something where I'm looking at my 200-year plan, where I want to survive for 200 years. I don't mean survive in terms of physical body. I mean I want to impact the world so much that I want to survive for 200 years. How long's Michael Jackson going to survive for? Probably, I don't know, 200-300 years. Everybody knows who Michael Jackson is. So it's about that. Can you recreate your 200-year plan? And it starts to be a bit like, ooh, what can I do to live for 200 years and make my biggest impact in the world? So yeah, I said I'm growing as a person, and also Empower by Lifting has grown as a person through me and through the coaches and through everybody involved in it. You guys as well. So everybody learning through Empower by Lifting then grows Empower by Lifting as an umbrella to help, ideally, millions of people worldwide. That's exactly what I want to do. It's not about making money. It's not about anything else. It's about helping worldwide, helping people to become a better person, to become better through fitness, to become better through just better at crushing life, basically. So we've kind of gone through where happiness can come from, and these two videos I've linked there are awesome people talking about this. And it's about the roller coaster we talked about earlier on, about always looking for the stimulation. If you go on a roller coaster, you get the stimulation temporarily, but when you get off it, it's finished. While you're waiting for that new movie that comes out in the cinema and you're really excited about it, temporarily you'll be excited. You go to the cinema, you watch the movie, and then afterwards you'll be stimulated for a little while, but then it's kind of gone and you forget about it and you're happy that you watched the movie. Now that I'm trying to remove my ego and remove this stimulation thing still myself, is always progressing. I'm on about a 2-year plan. It's not a 2-year plan. I'm on about 2 years into it. Once it's completely gone, I can now go to the cinema and really enjoy that movie, and then go away and still buzz about it for 10 or 15 minutes, but a couple of days maybe. But I don't get the big drop in personality, which is what dissolving the ego is all about. So we spoke about that. Truly happy versus being stimulated. So are you being stimulated to be happy, or are you actually grounded and happy? So that's kind of will really enhance your fitness lifestyle if you're not being stimulatedly happy rather than being actually truly happy. So definitely watch these videos. They're absolutely awesome. We spoke about the pull motivation, meaning you're looking for the big picture and you're moving towards something in the future always, and it's about being pulled towards it rather than being pushed. If you're being pushed towards by something, it's only temporary. That was the way I was thinking about that. Just expanding on everything we've spoke about there. Has anybody got any questions about it, by the way? What I've learned, or where I've learned from, or how you can use it?
I'd love to get a list of the books that you've been most impacted by. You've named a bunch of people that you followed. Yeah, this is kind of a connected but side subject, but I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's kind of putting just the icing on top of the cake now, of how you can further enhance it. I've listed at the bottom the four main people who are my mentors. I've listed Alan Aragon, who most of you know already. He's got this is for people who like to read, really. I don't like to read, but I do force myself to read these. Every month he puts out maybe a 3,000 or 4,000 word, really, really in-depth studies on everything that's new. And it goes back about 5 years, I think. If you can literally start at the beginning and read through, I've literally read every single one. If you go start at the beginning and read all the way through, you become like the most ultimate knowledgeable fitness person. Like, it's just ridiculous. But it's trying to find that, be able to do that. I think it's things like £10 a month to be a member. That's all. It's probably one of the most best places you will find fitness knowledge is Alan Aragon's review. He does seminars all over the world. He's American as well. Then there's a list of fitness books I've put there. A huge list. It'd take you years to get through them. Literally years and years, unless you're a super fast reader. Some of them are available on audio, so then you can fill in the time what we were talking about earlier in terms of when your subconscious is working, and you can listen to the audiobook. I've got like a strange ability to be able to listen and take in knowledge. I can put the audio book on like level 3, speed 3. And most people can't even hear it or understand it. And it's like in my ear, and I understand it. Don't know why that is. Just some way I can learn. So there's a massive list there of books. But secondly to that, maybe I'll put the business books and personal development books there as well. There's a lot there, man. There's about 150 I could add at the bottom, but some of them aren't relevant to fitness, is why I didn't put them there. But I'll pick out a few and see what might come up. So Napoleon Hill and Dale Carnegie, whatever his name is. These guys are, Napoleon Hill is an intellect from the 19th century. He's got these 16 laws of success, and he's got a 7-hour audio on YouTube which is free to listen to, and it's just absolutely mind-blowing what he comes out with. Dale also has his book called How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is not about how to influence people. It's not about being egotistically, it's about how to get on better in life. And most people are complainers. That's the way we are brought up. We complain about everything, and unfortunately that's how we live. So it's like, oh, I've got a sore finger, or I was tired today, or oh, my leg's hurting, or oh, today I had this problem, or yesterday I ate too much, I couldn't lift this weight in the gym. And most people complain about it, and the problem is, people don't care. Like, no one cares. Like, I don't care that you've got a sore finger. Like, that's me being honest about it. Like, do you need to then you look at it on the other side of it? Do I need to know you've got a sore finger? No. Then you look at yourself and go, do I complain about having a sore? I'm just using a sore finger as an example. Do I complain about having a sore finger? Oh shit! I complain all the time. I did that years ago, and it's just a thing the world puts upon us to make you complain. I'm tired, I've got a sore leg, oh, I'm hurting. No one cares. Even the closest people to you, they don't care. Do you care when you hear someone talk about their finger hurting or whatever the problem is? No, you don't. So that means if you don't complain, people aren't getting negative side effects of you as a person, and all of a sudden you become a better person. And one thing Dale talks about is talking with the I. So he always says, try not to talk about you all the time, and always talk about the other person. And then it goes into business contacts or something that maybe you need from somebody, and if you always go you, like meaning, tell me about your life. How's your kids? How's your family? Oh, where do you live? Oh, really? And just develop a conversation around them. And then you go, let's put it into a business development type of conversation where I want to get some money off somebody for an investment. I'll talk about their family, their kids, their partner, and oh, how long have you been together? And oh, that's nice. And what do your kids do? Do you do any sports or anything like that? Talk about them, and then I could literally say, so can you give me 50 grand for this investment? And they go, yeah, no problem. If I went straight in the meeting and I was like, okay, guys, I have this business investment for you, and I have this, and I have all of this paperwork for you. Would you give me 50,000? They're less inclined to then give you a business investment. So if you need something in life from somebody, it's better to talk about them first and then allow them to ask about the question. And that was just something that absolutely blew my mind from Dale and Napoleon Hill, where he talks about pleasing personality. It just blew my mind and changed a lot of things in my life. So this is about being interested in others and not yourself, thinking in the other person's point of view. This book's great, Dale Connor. It's also available on audio as well, by the way. Creating a big want for people. I don't know what that means for the other person. Okay, so if you're creating what they want, so if you're creating what somebody else wants while you're trying to get that thing that you need, become genuinely interested in it. But then if you are genuinely interested in others, you can learn faster because you learn about what other people are interested in. And because I'm such a passionate person about what I do in my life, I love people that are passionate, whether that be playing the guitar or lifting in the gym, or, for example, Ruby's pole dancing. I just think it's absolutely awesome because you can clearly see she's passionate about it. And it's like, I'm really interested in people that are passionate. So, smile, remember names. Remembering names, I can't remember names, I'm totally shit at it. But Dale talks about remembering someone's name is such a powerful thing. I just can't do it. But if you can do it, awesome. I'd love to be able to do it. I'll be in a business meeting and I can't remember the person that I'm in the business meeting with. Like, I'm just like, oh, I forgot the name. But it's just part of me. Can't do it. So the last bit is meditation and enlightenment. And if I was to tell you that, would you believe that I meditate on a daily basis? Would you believe me? Probably not. It sounds weird. First of all, looking at what meditation is, first of all, where we spoke about willpower earlier on and giving yourself a rest before that. So I'm going to give myself a rest in the next couple of weeks before I go to university. I'm simply resting my brain and my body and my willpower, kind of recharging, ready to go to university. So that's the last year because it's going to be really, really hard. That is what meditation is. A 10 minutes, 15 minutes per day, resting your brain. That's it. Think about it that way. So if you go to sleep, you're kind of resting your brain, but you're not allowing yourself to think about nothing. If you can just sit and think about nothing for 10, 15 minutes and force yourself to do it every day, all of that stuff we spoke about earlier on just becomes so easy. So in prep for a bodybuilding competition, when I'm living through willpower, my pre-workout is a 10-minute meditation. Then you're looking at different things, and it sounds a bit weird and a bit voodoo, but it's not religious. If you're religious, that's fine, but it's not a religious thing, which most people think it is a religious thing, and some people are negative towards religion, which I'm definitely not. I'm not a religious person myself, but I do meditate. I'm not really spiritual because I'm kind of on the way to going away from spirituality and going towards enlightenment, which is the next stage, which is completely removing the ego and being completely grounded and always being happy. So it's kind of putting all that together, and Leo, in the videos I've attached into the document, he talks about this type of enlightenment feeling, which can take 20 years to perfect, or it can take 5, depending on your personality type. And it's about the Buddhist monks sitting, meditating for days and days and days and becoming enlightened, which sounds pretty boring to me, but 10 minutes a day to rest your brain just done awesome for me over the last few years, especially with the amount of information I've been consuming and learning. It's allowed me to ground myself and rest. So what do you think about that? Crazy, eh? So I've left peaking for a bodybuilding show till the end because some people are definitely not interested in it. Some people are. I'm going to probably spend about 10 minutes talking about the last 6 weeks towards a show and then the last week. First of all, if any of you don't want to listen to it, it's going to simply be about that. And all it is using everything in the lifestyle longer and harder and developing all of that willpower and stuff like that to be able to peak for a show, as well as a little bit of water manipulation. So if you don't want to listen to it, you can basically switch off now and you're not going to miss anything if you're not going to ever compete. That's for the people listening to the recording. But for you guys live, is there anybody that wants to switch off and not listen to it?
I might go.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yes, fine. You could potentially use it before you had a photo shoot or something like that. We will talk about that as well. But you might not need it. So, yeah, if you want to go, you're more than welcome. So thanks for joining us, and I'll basically link you into this video or something. So just to end it as well, by the way, you guys will get a password emailed to you or message to you from my web team to give you a membership on the website, which then allows you access to the recorded seminars for, I think we've chose 3 months, which means you've paid for it, but then you can also get it for 3 months as well. So you don't have to worry about losing it, or you can go through again at any time, or wait 3 months and then go through it all again and make sure you've remembered everything. So that's cool. I'll do that for everybody that's been on. I got through to the, even if they've just done level 1 to 3, I'll still be able to give them access. So thanks, Ruby, and speak to you next time. Milda, are you gonna? See you later. Bye. Milda, are you gonna stay on as well?
I'm gonna stay.
No,
I'm gonna stay.
Because you wanted to do a bodybuilding show, didn't you? I think. And Lee, are you gonna stay as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Christian wanted to do a show, I think.
Absolutely, I'm all about this.
That's right. I never wanted to do one, but I think for the sake of just getting it over with, I might do one.
Milda, right? You know, I've got a show in October. I've got a natural bodybuilding show in Liverpool. You could literally walk on the stage now as you are and probably place high and get a trophy. So, you know, it's something you think, it's something you have to do, basically.
I just think, like, I'm building my mind slowly up to it. Because, like, I had a few people come up to me and go, "Oh, do you compete?" And I go, "No."
So
and it's kind of...
definitely.
So I think it might be a good simulation, and for my mind to go through it. I know I can do it.
Yeah,
I know I can do it.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of, if I'm going up, if I'm going to enter it, I want to enter it with attitude. I'm going to nail it and I'm going to win it. I want to walk out first.
Hey. We all have that attitude, but it's this
So that I'm gonna stay, Chris.
Okay, so you're gonna nail it, but is that you being egotistic? Are you egotistically wanting to win?
No, it's a good question. I need to work on that to answer you honestly.
Yeah. So most people want to win egotistically. If I get given a first place trophy or a fourth place trophy or a third place trophy or no trophy, I feel the same because I've had the journey to the show. Which is very powerful. So the journey towards the show is what enables a lot of this learning and knowledge and personality development and all of that stuff, because it is hard getting them last 6 weeks. It's hard. So what can I tell you? First of all you're doing realistically is the last 6 weeks is maybe cleaning your diet up a little bit more. So you're going from your 80-20 rule, maybe you take it 80-90, and now you're starting to live on willpower because you're restricting yourself from the foods that you like. Be really, really precise with your measuring. So you're measuring absolutely everything. So you're looking at even the fizzy water that you drink has 1 or 2 carbs in it. You're considering that. Literally, it's probably impossible to drink alcohol because you'll be too hungry, even to be able to fit in 1 drink. So it's like about 12 weeks out, I completely restrict myself from alcohol. So then you're starting to live a bit through willpower because you can't go and have a drink with your friends. This is different than the normal lifestyle. This is like bodybuilding lifestyle. So you just restrict yourself from alcohol. Boom, done. I don't drink for the next 12 weeks. Then it's like...
I didn't drink since April, so it wouldn't bother me at all.
That's good. That's easy for you. So the next thing is all of that stuff we've learned throughout the levels is trying to not allow the mind to take over what's going on with your body. So what will happen is you'll be looking in the mirror and you'll be like, am I ready? Am I ready? Am I ready? Am I ready? And this just goes through your head all day. Am I ready? Am I ready? Am I going to be ready? Am I going to be ready? I'm going to look shit on stage. I'm going to look terrible. And this just eats at you. Multiple reasons because of the issue of your food's low, your hormonal balance is low, your hormones are affected, so your mood's affected, you've got less energy, you're hitting cardio 2-3 times a week, you're making sure you're hitting every gym session, and you're tired. Like, you're properly tired. Your body doesn't want to be here. You're just really reducing energy. So this feeling of, am I ready? Am I going to be ready? Is where you're looking at your personal development stuff. And it's kind of, I don't care what anybody else thinks without being horrible about it. It's just, it's me. I want to look better than I looked better than last time. And that's it. If it's your first show, I want to look as best as I can look. Then you're taking away your needing to be egotistically winning the show, you egotistically have an issue of, am I placing better than somebody else? All these eyes are looking at me, and they're looking at you in the same manner as they're looking at everybody else, and they're not really judging you that badly, but because you're being judged on a stage, you can come inwards, and you think they're judging you as a person, your personality, and it's a hard feeling. But it's an unusual sport and very artistic, and I think it's just more of a beautiful arty sport than actually the ego and aggressive side of bodybuilding, what most people live through. And this is why you'll find people only do 1 show, because they don't do 1 bodybuilding show. The diet was so hard, the effort on their mind was so hard, the willpower needed to do that diet was absolutely insane, and they'll only do 1 show. Then they rebound, and because they haven't used everything else we've talked about in our lifestyle, the 5 levels, or the first 4 levels, for example, they haven't eaten the 80-20 rule, so they haven't managed to, all the way up until 6 or so weeks out, they haven't eaten their food that they crave. They crash. Day of the show, day after the show, and eat loads of stuff. Then they get fat very quickly, because we spoke about fat cell hyperplasia earlier on in the seminar, where we spoke about level 4, where we spoke about gaining body fat really quickly. This happens 3 or 4 weeks into it. You've been completely shredded on stage. You look at your body, and no longer you're shredded, and you feel bad. And then all of the issues we spoke about in this level 5 seminar, where we spoke about your personality and your ego, is really dampened. So for my first shows 6 years ago, I was like nearly crying like 2 weeks after my shows, like, oh my god, I've not got a 6-pack as bad as I did 2 weeks ago. And it's trying to remove all of that, and you just look the best you can be. You can be, not the best what everyone else thinks about. So this is why you'll see some people on stage that don't even have that much of a 6-pack, and I look at them, and they're not even that shredded, and they haven't got that much muscle, and I think that is absolutely awesome. Because they've got on stage and they're competing with themselves. They probably know deep down that they're not going to win, but they're competing with themselves, and that type of person usually comes back year on year or bi-yearly, and just becomes an awesome, better person. Through bodybuilding, through figure, through bikini. Then I'm looking at, after today's events, through powerlifting, through your sports. Let's say it's tennis, let's say it's basketball, just getting better. So people come back. So, it's about trying to remove that ego is a big thing to be able to make a successful prep, in my opinion. This is after many preps, many bodybuilding competitions. So removing that am I ready feeling, because now you've got your average weight to look at, because we spoke about that. You've got your body measurements to look at. You've got your measurements of your muscles. You've got your bi-weekly photographs that normally I get clients to do. Sometimes you've got a coach to look at you and go, okay, so you've done all of this, and then getting rid of this, am I ready, am I ready, am I ready type of feeling. That's the worst part, honestly. It can make you give up. You'll just be like, I'm not going to be ready. That's the hardest part. So what I was going to tell you, that's kind of the way towards it, and all you're doing is literally the same as level 2 or level 3 of the Empowered by Lifting lifestyle. You're doing the same thing, and you're just kind of doing it for longer. But it's preparing the body first is the most important thing before all of that, in my opinion. So you've got your food to the highest possible level it can be, with at the same time and a nice level of body fat ready to lose. Trying to be generic here, it's quite hard. Amount of body fat, which for me, I think 15 to 20 pounds is perfect to be able to lose. So my personal 15 pound to 20 pound, where I am over stage weight now, is my comfortable level. My brain functions perfect. I'm so motivated. I've got too much food to possibly eat on a daily basis. I'm training. I'm getting stronger. That's where I am. And I'm right this second now in my life. I am perfectly ready to diet. And it's getting ready to diet is more important than dieting. So mentally, I'm ready. Psychologically, I'm ready. Physically, I'm ready. Hormonally balanced, I'm ready. Now, let's begin a diet. Take away a couple of 100 calories and go. And then you're going to follow level 2, level 3 stuff where we spoke about just dropping the weight, dropping the average weight, looking at the figure, filling out the spreadsheet and letting it take you down, and not letting the mind take over. Am I ready? Am I ready? So if it's your first show, you're not going to know what your stage weight is. So it's literally just trying to get as shredded as possible in the time that you've got. And I always try to double the time that you've got, maybe. So if you think it's 15 pounds and you want to lose a pound a week, try maybe 30 weeks of diet. Because things can mess up, you might not lose. And now you know that you've lived through level 1 and 2 and 3 of the lifestyle, that it's actually easy. So you're not actually worrying about you're not restricted from foods. You're not needing to eat all the time like the rest of the fitness industry do. You'll be able to eat 3 meals per day if you want to, or you can make it 4 or 5 if you want to. You're looking at your own personal why and adherence, and all of a sudden you're building up this longer version of what everybody else is doing in the Empowered by Lifting lifestyle. So, what else? Any questions about that bit, by the way? Now that we've got a couple of people on.
No.
Okay. So yeah, it's a longer version of a fat loss phase. That's all in a nutshell. So now let's talk about we've talked about willpower and pulling it. You have to really dig deep in the last few weeks. We spoke about cardio and all that early on in the seminars. So let's talk about the peak week and the myths and misconceptions around the peak week. So it's kind of, if you are absolutely at your peak and you're really shredded and you've got all your lines in your shoulders, if you're a guy, you've got a six-pack and you're quite clear six-pack as a girl, or you're as lean as possible you can be. Less emphasis on the female peak week, because that should just realistically be just a little bit of a tweak and you should be ready. But a guy, because we are much leaner in terms of the muscles closer to the skin type of thinking, because we've got we can get our body fat lower than a girl can. So I'll try and take it, I'll try and battle it twice. So we'll look at the guys first. So we're literally going to go as low as you can go, and ideally trying to find out, this is where your coach comes in normally, and your own learning is trying to find out your peak amount of carbs, because carbs then help you look more vascular. It's hard to explain this in a short amount of time, but carbs make you look better, is what I'm trying to say. So carbs are going to make you look more vascular, and they're going to make you look better because your skin will look tighter. You're trying to make the muscle as big as possible, but then also you can eat too much carbs and you get a slight amount of water retention. So it's trying to balance this amount of carbs. So with a client, I will take him sometimes 15 weeks out, and I'll be carb cycling him simply to find out what his peak amount of carbs is. So for example, I've got one client, James, on the moment, he's on 500 carbs for 2 days, and then for 5 days he's on 325 carbs. So what's happening there is I'm finding out when his best day is. So his best day happens to be 2 days after his 500 carbs. He looks best. He's most vascular, his skin's tightest, he feels good, he looks good, and everything's really tight. So this is about looking in the mirror and making sure that how you look is aligning with this extra carbs. Pretty much keeping everything else the same. I might reduce the fats there as well. So we've then got this last week where you've done all of this testing, and then you know that 2 days, for example, 2 days of high carbs, the day after might be the best day for you. Let's roll with that. Then peak week, ideally you try and make it so that show day falls on your day where you look best, first of all. Then you might want to increase that carbs by 20% or something, so you might take it to 600 carbs, a little bit more. Nothing extreme, because you've already been doing it all the way through your diet, so just a little bit extra, you've tested it. And then the water retention hormone is basically produced when you haven't got enough water. So what we do is get you to drink a ridiculous amount of water for around about a week before. So it's kind of taking your water intake as it is at the moment and maybe doubling it. So for me, because I drink a lot of water anyway, I'm drinking literally 10 litres of water per day in a week towards the show. And I've got 5 of these bottles, and I'm just literally all day. So let's carry on with water. That bit would also apply to the girls, where you would then drink extra water. So you're kind of doubling your water intake. And this is to simply reduce any potential water retention, because most of the peak weeks on the internet and people doing it, most of the peak weeks are for steroid users, which is a completely different story. I don't know how to do it, and I'll honestly say that. Steroids called water retention, haven't got a clue. They do all kinds of voodoo magic stuff that gets them shredded on the day. Don't know. Without being nasty about it, don't also care, because I don't do that. So basically, there's not that much you can do. So all of this messing about with water is like 5%. That's all it is. Like a little tiny change in your body. Drink loads of water. Gulp, 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 gulp. The night before the show, gulp, gulp, gulp. Around about 7 p.m, sip, sip, sip. The next morning when you wake up for the show, rather than going gulp, 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 you're just going and maybe drink 1 litre of water before the show, or half a litre. That's it. Nothing serious. And that's water. So there's no really deep water cuts. There's no 3 days of no water. There's no other stuff to make it like crazy. There's no craziness. It's just simply stop drinking as much water the next day of the show. And that's pretty much water. Salt intake. Again, the steroid users might do something crazy. Salt intake is about being the same salt intake. So if you put salt on your food, continue to put salt on your food. Don't stop halfway through the week or stop putting it on halfway through the last week. So it's about being the same. And that's pretty much it. If you're an over-consumer of salt, it might be a good idea to cut salt or reduce salt in the last 6 weeks. Just in case there's any excess water retention. Because all we're talking about here is this little 5%. Things like dairy, cheese, it's pretty much irrelevant. It's just a fitness industry myth. There's no evidence to suggest at the moment. Maybe in the future we might find something. some things that you can do, which is not studied, and not in an evidence-based way, but I've tested it on loads of people, and I've done it myself as well, is consuming vitamin C about 3 days before. So you can take your vitamin C up to, say, I don't know, I'm going to just say some numbers. It's not harmful anyway, so it's not too bad to take vitamin C. So I would take like 10,000 milligrams for about 3 days, which is 10 1 milligram tablets. Seems to reduce my body weight by about 2 or 3 pounds extra. And this is simply water kind of flushing out of the skin, and you definitely look better from it. But there's no evidence to help us give us it. There's no evidence to help us give you proper answers to that. Again, dandelion can also reduce water retention. Don't know. I've used it, and it feels like it does do something. So that's something you can also test with. And there's a few other things. But the problem is, what you're trying to do is balance this water under the skin to water in the muscle. And the body's very, very clever at balancing it. So if you try to cut the water, the body does something and knows and basically puts the water back under the skin. So you can do this temporary window. And for me, it's actually quite good. I'm quite good at cutting water, where I'll just stop drinking water in the morning of the show, and I stay completely dry all day. When I say dry, I mean the skin like clings to my quads and my abs. And that happens to be the next day as well. And then I'll get like a swing back, like a seesaw, where for 2 or 3 days after a show, I'm really, really fluffy. Can't explain it. My abs aren't as tight. My quads aren't as tight as they were the day of the show. And this is kind of the seesaw effect. So when people are trying to cut water for holidays, it's like futile, because you're only going to be cutting water for 1 day. So it's futile. It's like it's a waste of time. So yeah, that's kind of it in a very quick nutshell. There's loads of psychological things to add to it, and hopefully level 5 will really help you be able to prep without needing to kind of live through willpower. So that means that we can even do things like 6 weeks out, you're looking good, you've got 6 weeks left. Let's bring the food up to a maintenance. Let's reduce training, let's reduce cardio. Let's start chilling out for 6 weeks, for 1 week, and then back on it for 6 weeks, because that's then reducing your willpower, letting everything recover. You're not craving foods as much because you're at maintenance. We'll have to calculate maintenance. Have a little diet break for a week. So this is a psychological diet break, a body diet break, and like having a little rest. Stay away from the gym for an extra couple of days, reduce your cardio, and then go wham, back at it. And normally you see your body react in an awesome way, because it's had this little comfortable thing where you've reduced, like you can have a good hormonal balance for a week, better than you had while you were cutting. So that's another thing I'll do with certain people if you've been dieting for a long time. But that's when you give yourself enough time. My next show, I will, if I am, say, 15, 20 pound above stage weight, I'll take away probably 12 pound, and then diet break for maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks and stay at that weight by bringing the food up slowly, and then take off the last 5 to 7 pound in the last 6 weeks, rather than a constant down. So that's something else that might help, is a longer prep. But I've got the ability to do a longer prep now because I've got less ability to build more muscle. So this is later stuff you can do, but ideally do it in one go.
Sorry, Chris. Last year I've been away like exactly the same time as I'm going away, like end of this week. And I found when I came back, because I've been training not just before holidays, because I've been training all the time. And then I went away for a week, and then I had a week of literally full-on drinking and eating crap. But by eating crap, I mean, like, obviously I just had a normal food, but everything was still in, like, moderation, I would say, because I was having, like, 3 big meals through the day. and
Yeah.
that was about it. But like there was a lot of alcohol, so it was loads of like unnecessary calories.
Yeah.
And when I came back in 2 weeks' time, I was in my best shape ever when I started training again. So it was just week off, which was crazy for my mind to take in, but because like the body weight just dropped, and I don't know what was it.
I thought you were going to say, and I gained 5 pounds, and I wasn't very happy.
I thought that, yeah.
No, that's why I couldn't figure it out. I was like, what was it? Because like I came back from holidays and everyone was like, oh, you look amazing. And I was like, how's it possible? Because like I've been back to training just a few weeks after holidays. That's where after a break my body seemed to recharge.
Did your body weight stay the same?
No, it dropped.
Okay, it dropped.
But like my muscles come out more.
Did you have a tan before you went, and then you got a tan while you were away? So you look. Did you have a suntan when you came back?
No, it's not the fact that just tan. I mean, like scales wise, which was like it. I couldn't explain it, but I thought the break actually done me good, which I was happy at the time.
Yeah. I can't answer why. Did you train while you were away? No. No, you didn't. You didn't even train.
She laughs.
I don't know.
I think the holiday ferry was just good to you.
Yeah, I think so.
You're just banned.
Mentally.
Yeah, there's loads of reasons why. I mean, there's loads of factors that could have affected it. You could have been a little bit dehydrated when you came back, so you were more. Your muscles looked tighter. Just for a short amount of time because you were drinking a lot of alcohol. Maybe you weren't used to it. Loads of reasons. And maybe you're just absolutely awesome and you've got an awesome body. That could be why. No one's ever said that to me. Oh my god, I hate loads when I go on holiday and I look better when I come back.
Yeah.
So any
your holidays is gonna be different, so there's no alcohol involved.
Yeah, I know. Some people have.
I say if it happens twice, then you just have the genetic gift.
Yeah.
You'll have to let us know.
I might just holiday all my life then.
Some people have just awesome genetics. Like my genetics are shit. Like I'm like I can't realistically for the amount of muscle mass I've got, I should be able to eat a lot more food, and I can't. I'm so disappointed. But I've brought it up from where it was years ago, so I'm happy with that. So it's like me personally being happy with my own increase in calories. So 3,100 for me is really good to be at my level of body fat. So I'm happy with that. And I do nothing as well. I sit down all day. I go to the gym once, about 4 times a week. So that's good. Christian, any questions now on that? There's obviously loads, but
I don't think so.
That was
until I get there, I don't know.
I know.
I have a lot to do before that point. So
yeah. So yours is about building muscle as well, isn't it? So I'm a little bit nostalgic that we've finished the seminars now, and I hope you guys who are left on here have enjoyed it, and everybody else who's at home. I keep saying at home we're joining seminars. I don't know why. Everybody else who's watching the recordings has enjoyed it as well. Feel free to review it on the website, share it on Facebook, get some more people on these seminars, because if you've enjoyed it, they're going to enjoy it. And obviously it helps improve the Empowered by Lifting lifestyle worldwide. So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I really enjoyed it. Also, the try to help the world lose £1 million page. I really, really want to push that because I think it's going to help reduce world obesity. And what it means is people can go on there, sign up that they've lost so many pounds, and it automatically allows them to add their numbers to the calculator that's automatically there. So I don't even have to do it, or the web team doesn't even have to do it. And if we can get, I don't know, I think I wrote 50,000. If 50,000 people lose £20, that's £1 million lost. So if I can get 50,000 people to lose £20, not a lot of weight, but sustainably lose £20, then the whole world loses £1 million. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, so that's what I want to do. So try and like see if you see anybody that's like in your life that's obese and wants to lose some weight, get them on level 1. Like at least get them to listen to level 1, and get them to share it. So yeah. thanks, guys, and speak to you later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks.
See you later, mate.